Hello everyone, welcome to EVE Talk, your weekly look at the market in EVE Online. As always, I'm your host, The Lone Wolf, and I had a very good week in exploration last week, so I did go back to Solitude at one point, and I made close to 1 billion ISK from high-sec sites such as Serpentis, narcotics warehouses, and 5 outposts. In fact, on one evening, I had 4 5 outposts, and I think we had close to 700 million that evening. So that was running quite well. While I take a seat on the couch, let me see if the stream is working okay. That does look like it. Of course, there's a little bit of a delay, but it's all looking okay. And yeah, high-sec exploration has really been treating me well. On top of that, maybe spoilerific, I did manage to sell 4 of my 8 plex for 600 million in Dodixie yesterday, so those are going back up as well. We'll see exactly how much in just a little bit, but that's pretty awesome. Buying them for 500, selling them for 600 is already a nice profit. A bit less than what I had expected, but I'm going to risk it with the other 4 plex, try and get a higher price for them. Anyways, let's have a look at the market and what's been happening over the last week. As always, we will start with the minerals, which are titanium for the lowest value one. Still looking at 482 in Jita, so that's flat. Yeah, exactly. Might it be a bottom? Perhaps. Let's have a look at the 1-year chart. You can see it's pretty much at an all-time low. But at least it's not dropping any further. So 480 does seem to be the price point where titanium is trying to form a bottom, and it's not really been going down anymore in the last few weeks. So let's hope that after the expansion we just get more people actively doing some EVE Online manufacturing, and that this price might go up. Maybe a nice war that could be good as well over the winter to help the price of titanium. Let's have a look at pyrite. 1111, and in fact buyers 1110, so that's no margin. I think that's pretty damn low. Is that one back on the downtrend? Yes, unfortunately. Here you can see at the tail end the 5-day moving average and the data points once again moving below what the 20-day moving average has been. So pyrite's looking like it wants to go a little bit lower. It's going to be interesting to see if it ever breaks 11 ISK, which would be, I think, historically very, very low for pyrite. I know at very early game, I think I've seen it below 10, but most of the time a more normal price has been 12 to 14 ISK, something like that. So very low prices, and pyrite still moving down. That's pretty damn bad. Let's see Mexalon. That one's decently important for me because I have 200 million invested in Mexalon. That one is moving sideways below 40 ISK, so that's not good. I bought them for 40.50. It's 39.71, just below 40 again. This is pretty much sideways movement. Now, if on a longer term with the winter expansion we see these prices going back up, which I think they will, I hope they will, seeing how it comes from 60 ISK now down below 40, this will have been the bottom right here. Just before September, where it then picked up for a small moment. I bought at a spike, which was a bit of a mistake, but let's hope that it does start to go up the closer we get to the expansion and to more activity during the winter. So Mexalon, sideways movement like titanium. Isogen up a little bit, but here again at the tail end you can see that the market decided it's changing its mind, and the data points are once again below the 20-day moving average. So it's once again looking like a bottom throughout September, but it's very hesitant to actually start going up for Isogen. So still 124, just below 124 for Isogen at the moment. Then let's have a look at Megasite, Noxium and Zydrine. These have all been trending down even towards September, but here you can see, I think, on the 20-day moving average that the downward trend is finally breaking, and 660 I would say could be the price point where Noxium says that it's time for a bottom. So that's actually a positive sign for higher prices for the other minerals as well, although they are hesitating quite heavily. If Megasite That's a little too flat to tell. Corrupted data point on that. It's really hard to tell here if a bottom could be forming. And here on Zydran, unfortunately, that one just went straight through the 600 price point, and it's still going down quite a lot. That's pretty unfortunate. In fact, Zydran 564 is pretty damn low. Have a look at the 1 year chart. It's been above 1000 ISK with Odyssey, and now below 600. That's really also a serious beating, and no sign here that it's forming a bottom just yet. So I'm not sure where all of this Zydran is coming from that's being dumped on the market to keep lowering the price like that. But let's hope that with increased activity comes increased demand, and that this price can then pick up. Once we would see Zydran and Megasite clearly move away from their downtrend, I think we could have a first signal of a bottom and a sustained uptrend. But at the moment, still very risky. In fact, all of them are moving sideways. None of them clearly show any sign of going up just yet. Some of them are hesitating and are moving sideways, like Tritanium and like Mixalon. So still a bit early. I would have expected it to start going back up at the moment, but it's just not working out that way. I guess people have a lot of stocks or something like that. Also, you know, that were the minerals still looking like a downtrend, and some of them indicate that a bottom might be close, but I wouldn't say it's here just yet. And if any of you guys have stuff that you want me to check out, feel free to post it in the comments, and I will take a look at that. But then let's have a look at Tech One chips, I guess. Let's see if those are still trending down. The Drake trending sideways to up a little bit here at the end. That's pretty interesting, above 42 million. Yeah, 42.3, so definitely up a little bit from last week and in the last 2 weeks. Pretty interesting that would show pretty much a bottom. Maelstrom sideways movement, and I was going to say, but it's starting to stay well above 175, but then you can see here data points at the end back below that. Current price for the Maelstrom 174. So although it's holding on quite well, and this might end up being a bottom if we look further into the future, at the moment there is no clear break of the trend, and I wouldn't be surprised to see it go lower at some point. If you look at the 1 year chart though, it's a nice mirror of what the minerals have been doing. So this is the summer slump right here that you can see that's been going on for the minerals as well, and the Tech One ships are suffering from that as well. Let's have a look here at the Omen. That one went up a little bit, but it's already starting to flatten out. Just above 10 million, current price just below 10 million. So this is definitely going to correct back down a little bit. I'm not sure why this price picked up a full million, which is around 10%, not bad, after September, but it's definitely against the grain of what most Tech One ships are doing. So have a look at the rock. This is pretty much like the Maelstrom, a sideways movement in the 175 to 180 band. And here at the tail end again going back down a little bit, unfortunately. And Talos here as well, pretty much a 66 to 70 price band, where we have a lateral movement throughout September after, if you take a look at the 1 year chart, after a clear downtrend during the summer. This is definitely a seasonal thing that does happen in EVE Online, and here in the last few weeks a seriously sharp drop. In fact, price I would say close to 72, and now looking at 64, 66, so it's already going back up a little bit. But yeah, that's definitely a serious movement for the Talos here as well. But no sign on any of these Tech One ship really of a sustained increase in demand or something like that. That would indicate a higher price for Tech One ships and for minerals. So this is all looking like a very slow market to pick back up after the summer. Next up, I will take a look at Tech 2 ships and maybe just have a quick check if everything is still okay. And yeah, that's all looking decent. So after this Tech 2 ships, these are my trade opportunities for short and medium term. Unfortunately, Absolution, that's not looking too good. You can see two clear spikes with one really big one over the year, which was the announcement of the changes to the command chips, but overall too flat a chart for the Absolution to really trade in. The Astarte, on the other hand, look at that, that is very, very nice. 3 consecutive spikes with serious corrections right after that, and right now we are once again at a correction point. Right here, this is a jump of close to 30 million ISK right here on these peaks, and this one might even be as much as 50 million ISK. So current price for the Astarte is at 254.5, so that's pretty much where this data point is. But as you can see right here, it traded up to 280 in the last week or 2 weeks, I would say. So this is why I like this market for trade opportunities. If you keep a close eye on this, this might be a bit of a buying opportunity if you want to make a quick buck on the Astarte, because if a spike like that happens again, you're looking at a quick 20 million profits without any real problem. If these spikes come back, of course. But you can already see that we've had 3 of them quite quickly after one another. So I'd say there's a good chance for that in Tech 2 ships. Claymore, a little bit too flat, but it's slowly going down, breaking 220 or not. No, still staying above at 223, so that would not be too active in the Claymore at the moment. Damnation, at least it's known a few decent spikes here of 20 to 50 million ISK. Again, the announcement spike right here, but at the moment it's in a general downtrend, but it could be close to a point where you could say maybe I should start picking up a few Damnations on buy orders at like 217, 218, and just have them wait until once again they break close to 250 or something like that on one of these spikes. I'd say this is medium term. The Damnation is coming into an interesting place for buy orders. The EOS is correcting quite a little bit, but did it stay above 300? Yeah, it's still pretty much above 300 million ISK, although we are finally seeing more orders of the EOS, which has changed to become the only battle cruiser that can field 5 heavy drones. And before last week, I'd say there were always less than 10 orders or something like that, all of them well above 300 million, but it looks like there are some more manufacturers coming to the market and trying to beat down the price a little bit, and so we see the first EOSs in quite a while that you could purchase for below 300 million ISK. Now, of course, this market also again is small enough that some manipulation could cause big spikes in the price here. The problem it has, of course, is that it's starting off extremely high because of the change, but you can again here clearly see that it's quite volatile and moving pretty quickly on some of these spikes. So I don't know if you would value the EOS at 300 million, but if you do, accept that that is the current price point. Anything below that you can manage to pick up, especially here 270, that's a 30 million ISK margin to work with. If you can pick a few up at a few buy orders, those might actually be pretty damn good investments at the moment. Although they are on a downtrend, this is just manufacturers trying to unload their stocks. So pretty interesting here, the EOS at the moment, how it's correcting below 300. The Guardian, yep, I do like this. Right here you see a spike above 140 million ISK, and now the price is once again dropping down towards 135, and in fact it already broke 135. So this is a very fast market again. I would be looking at buying below 130, but the buy orders 123, so that should definitely be possible. Then just keep an eye out for another one of these spikes, like right here going from 120 to 135 in not a lot of time, and here from 125 to above 140 also in just a matter of days. So that's actually pretty interesting if you can pick up a few Guardians. Amazingly enough, a lot of these, in my opinion, seem to be at a good place to place some buy orders for them and try and make a quick buck on them over the next few weeks. The Nighthawk, that's just looking a little bit too high and in a general uptrend at the moment to be investing in that. Sleipnir is just on a real downtrend and it's moving too slowly. The last spikes were almost 3 months ago. and they're not as big. Although, well, this is pretty decent, but yeah, I would not invest short term in the Sleipnir. Maybe if you want something medium term, that could work out, but it's just a little bit too flat for me, these charts, to really be actively trading in that. And then the Vulture is dropping to an all-time low, actually, to a one-year low. Current prices for the Vultures below 210 million ISK. But again, this chart hasn't got enough movement to, in my opinion, make it worth it to actively trade in Vultures. So yeah, that's look at the Take 2 market. Some of them seem to be with very large margins between sell orders and buy orders, and might just be some buying opportunities showing up there. Especially I do like the Guardian and the Astarte here. That looks to me like they might be opportunities. So let's have a quick look here. Nope, still nobody that is suggesting anything. Now before I go to the tech trees, yeah, I think I'll just quickly touch on the tech tree ships, which are still going down. In fact, Legion below 1765, yeah, below 165. Loki also going down, staying well below 170. The melted nanoribbons, here we go. These are finally starting to show signs of a bottom at 4.6 million ISK, and they are in fact already back at 4.9 million ISK, which I think is not bad. I'm not sure what I bought them anymore. I need to review my video. But here at the tail end, very interesting how this is going to pick up. And although it's not a fast moving product, the melted nanoribbons, it moves quite often from around a 4.55 million up to a 6 and above, well above 6 million ISK. That's a really big jump that it does from time to time. And I do think that this is a buying opportunity that we've just seen here, and I do expect melted nanoribbons to start picking up quite a lot. So I think this is pretty interesting, and I have also invested around 200 million in melted nanoribbons. So we'll see what those will do, but that is looking actually pretty good for a bottom formation and another start on one of these run-ups, like here towards 6.6, here towards 5.6, and here towards 6 million. So I think this is pretty interesting, despite the fact that the Proteus is now going below 180. In fact, 165 for a Proteus, that is very low. So this chart is going to continue to go down quite a lot. And then Tengus, also breaking 165, yeah, close to 161. Very, very low prices for Tech 3 ships. Who, I mean, I think they're still pretty good. You know, you can definitely still use them in wormhole space. They're probably pretty good there, but they're totally falling out of favor with the player base. And if you look at the Tengu chart, starting the year at almost 200 million and now at 160, and they've been way higher than that in the past. So yeah, Tech 3 ships all-time lows and still no sign of going down, because CCP just keeps adding specialities that Tech 3 ships had two other ships, such as interdiction, immunity being given to interceptors now, for instance. So yeah, not a good time to be a Tech 3 producer. After that, let's go for some sister stuff. And let me just grab a quick drink. Because Sisters of Eve are of course a big part of the next expansion with a new cruiser and frigate, certainly with the expansion, and then possibly a battleship, but I think that might come later. And this does mean that anything bought with Sisters of Eve loyalty points from missions is going up quite a lot. Let's take a look, for instance, at Sister Core Probe Launcher, starting off at 38 million and is now working its way towards 44. Yep, there you go. It's even 45 million ISK for a Sister Core Probe Launcher, where it was just 38 before all of these announcements. So what people are expecting is that the value of the Sisters of Eve loyalty points, which you get from missions, for instance, is going to increase quite a lot, simply because there is going to be a lot more demand for goods bought with this, namely BPCs of these specific ships. And so here we can also see the Scissor expanded probe launcher, very similar chart here, clear move up from 38 to 44 once again. And it's the same with the scanner probes, which are going from 500,000 to 600,000 ISK. Yeah, in even 616,000 ISK. That's a 20% increase in price, not insignificant. And the same here with the Scissor core scanner probes, going from 500 to 600,000 ISK. And this is definitely expansion information. I did not jump on this. In fact, you had to do it to be amongst the first to do this. And another reason, I do expect this to correct a little bit after a while. The reason for this is that there are a lot of people just grinding missions for the sisters at the moment to get those loyalty points and be able to bring those BPCs to the market and those ships to the market. I think there's going to be a lot of competition for that, and so I think that this price won't stay super high for very long. In fact, I think a price point will be reached and found quite quickly for the cruisers, and that this is a bit of an overreaction on, for instance, the probe launchers, and that this will correct a little bit once the expansion hits and people actually see that nobody is going to buy 10 of those cruisers right away, and a lot of people already have enough loyalty points to get a BPC on their own. So I think it's not going to be as bad as people expect price-wise, and that is all going to correct pretty quickly. But it's pretty interesting nonetheless. A 20% move in just a few weeks is not bad at all if you had invested in that sort of stuff. And in fact, so many people have been doing missions in Osmond, which is a level 4 security agent for the Sisters of Eve, that CCP has upgraded 2 other Sisters of Eve agents in HighSec to level 4 security agents, so that they could basically give the Osmond node a little bit of a rest, because it was constantly in tie-dye with hundreds of thousands of ships, pirates, NPC pirates being destroyed in missions every single day. So those loyalty points are being grinded very heavily by the player base, and if, like me, you're just interested in 1 or 2 of those cruisers, I actually don't think it's going to be that big of an issue just to buy it with ISK and let people do the grind and do the manufacturing for those ships. So this, although it's a very serious movement, I think it's a little bit of an overreaction as well, and that in the end it's all going to be quite alright. You know, if you have a play style that makes you some ISK that you prefer over missioning, for instance, exploration has been treating me quite well over the summer, I would say just make some ISK the way you prefer, rather than focusing on those loyalty points for the Sisters of Eve, because plenty of people are doing it for you, and you can then just buy the cruisers from the market, in my opinion. Anyways, that's the Sisters of Eve stuff. So yeah, around 20% movement in that. We should also get some Sisters of Eve related live events soon, hopefully before the expansion hits. But yeah, we have been having some hits that hint that there might be some live events related to the Sisters of Eve in the upcoming weeks. So if you're interested in that, keep an eye on that as well. And let me maybe quickly refresh some of these pages. But this is all looking quite alright. So I'll quickly touch on the R64 stuff. Dysprosium still climbing, but 50,000 ISK. Yeah, definitely still climbing quite a lot. So I think there is something going on here with some cartel formation that is trying to up the price here, because that's a lot of movement in not a lot of time, even after the changes to the moon minerals. Neodymium was going down and is now moving sideways, so that's looking like it's okay. And look at that, Promethium going up quite a lot. Oh, this is pretty interesting, reaching 25k again, in fact already up to 27k. And then Thulium, which was going down, is still slowly going down, so pretty interesting. This R64 stuff comes from moon mining, which can only be done in nullsec and generally by large alliances. Could this be an impact by the new module that has been announced, which would allow people to siphon off some of these moon minerals from unguarded moons? Possibly, you know, maybe the moons that yield dysprosium and promethium. For some reason, people might maybe expect that there will be some problems around those, or basically the alliances that own most of them decided that they would bring less to the market to beat up the price a little bit. That's a possibility as well, of course. But these are quite sharp movements for these moon minerals. So a little bit unexpected, you know, after this big spike with Odyssey, with the changes, well, there were some spikes, but generally it stayed pretty flat at around the price it had found, like 30k for dysprosium and here for promethium, moving around the 22,000 band. But yeah, now in the last few weeks, 27,000 for promethium and then dysprosium as high as 50,000 ISK, which is quite a lot. That's a little bit surprising, and there's something going on. Unfortunately, I don't know quite enough about nullsec to say what exactly. But there is some movement there, so keep an eye on that as well, I think, especially if you're in nullsec or if you have any relation to what's happening with the moon minerals. Marauders, let's have a look at that. This could be interesting because a few of them have their changes up on the test server, so we do have some footage of that, and let's see if people actually like what they see. The golem, let's see, that's interesting, pretty much flat at 1 billion. So it's corrected a little bit, but it might just have found a new price, 50 million ISK higher than what it was before all of the announcements. So not a huge uproar in this, but maybe up a little bit. Let's have a look here at the chronos. Yeah, again, maybe a little bit of an uptrend. In fact, as much as 100 million more than what it was before all of the announcements. But current price, I think, is down a little bit yet. 1 billion, 24 million, something like that. So it's a little lower than the 20-day moving average chart shows here. But the chronos, of course, we've seen the most of that one, and so maybe that one might be the more popular version. Also, it's got blaster bonuses, I think. Let's have a quick look here. Yeah, large hybrid damage bonus, and yeah, blasters are of course very, very good weapons, possibly amongst the highest damage weapons that there are out there. So the chronos might just be the one that people go to for nullsec use of these marauders once the changes hit. Paladin, it's trying, it's really trying. Let's see, yeah, again 50 million more than what it was before the announcement, so up a little bit. And then the Varger, which was up, but not so much, I think, yeah, 940, so that one is up 40 million. The Varger has moved the lowest amount of all of them, the Chronos the most, and then Golem and Paladin around 50 million ISK. But it does look like people are expecting the Marauders to become a little bit more popular after the changes. So that's actually good to see, because after the initial rush, most of them went back towards, except for the Chronos, most of them went back towards their price point that they had before the announcement. But now all of them are moving up a little bit. Pretty interesting. Look at the fuels, which I'm expecting to just move sideways around 15k, 14 to 15k, which is the case for the Amar. Caldari fuel block up a little bit, but nothing too drastic, I think. Yalente fuel block up a little bit here as well. That's actually moving quite decently. Well, 15,000. It's already coming back down from this 5-day moving average spike, actually. So that might just be a little bit of speculation or something, but it's still no sign, in my opinion, that they're picking up. The Minotaur one, however, is that? No, it's already also back down to 15,000. So something might have happened, just a little bit of a flash in the pan action during the last week, but it's really all correcting already right back to a price between 14 and 15k. Very, very flat, very little movement in the fuel blocks. Personally, I am producing Galente fuel blocks, but that's just for my own use. If we ever end up with a boss again, maybe in wormhole space, who knows. then we'll be using our own fuel rather than buying it from the market. But it's still looking decently flat, so no fuel apocalypse to be seen with the ice changes with Odyssey, which some people had expected. It's really not looking like that's the case. And yeah, that's it for the fuels. That's it for all of my the normal stuff that I check. We are around 30 minutes in, so that's pretty good timing. If none of you guys have any other recommendations in the comments, which I'm not seeing at the moment, the comment system on YouTube is pretty bad, so I might just be missing it or it might be lagging behind. But then we'll be moving on to Plex, the most important I think commodity in EVE Online. It's the best gauge for the general economy, the general health of the EVE economy and the game itself. And they are back up quite a bit, in fact 597 once again in GTA, so coming close to 600 million ISK. 588 for buyers, so yeah, someone did just put a buy order of 588 for 21 Plex, so you're definitely putting a new bottom on those buy orders. It is slowing down here, this movement, so again a big spike like what we saw just a few weeks ago, but the question is it going to go up higher or not? I personally think it is. I hope it is, because I'm trying to unload my Plex in Dodixie even higher. But yes, you are at a good spot to sell Plex at the moment, close to 600 million. In fact, in Dodixie, I did sell 4 Plex for 600 million ISK. That's, well, it's a bit less, but close to 100 million per Plex in profit. Already, and then I've got my other 4 Plex at an even higher price than that, which I'm hoping this spike will materialize, because I do think this is the last hurrah before it will start moving sideways. And in fact, you can see right here on the left side of the chart where it went from 620 and then back down to 580, and then it moved sideways close to that price for quite a bit during the expansion. With maybe just one spike at 600 again. This is, I think, your last selling opportunity for a really an exceptional price, close to or above 600 million ISK. After this, the expansion is going to hit. More and more people are going to come in, also purchasing and selling Plex from CCP directly, competing with whoever is doing all of this manipulation, because I think you need quite a lot of ISK, and this is a little bit of seasonal thing that comes back, but it's also people in the market that know this is happening and just increasing the movement that's happening in Plex. And here on the left side you can see that it's just a downward trend. After that we have a lateral movement at around 580, 590, and then the downwards spike after the winter expansion, which is expected for next year, and then towards April with a bottom. And so yeah, this second spike, it's still not as high as I would have expected it to go, considering where it moved last year, but it's of course a selling opportunity, and I managed to sell 4 of them at a very good price. And even if it doesn't go any higher than that anymore, I think I'll just adjust my price to like 590 or 580, and I'm pretty sure that I will be able to sell that without any problem and still have another 300 million ISK in profit. So it's been a very good trade this year, I have to say. I'll make I think without any problem I'll make 750 million ISK in profit from this Plex trade. This is your sell opportunity if you have some. I really think this is. After this spike, you know, it's close to 600 million, you know, so if you can get some sell orders going just a little bit lower than that, you'll get rid of them pretty quickly. But after this, I doubt it's going to stay above 600 for very long. Then it's still sell time, you know, after this. But the big 2 spikes which we've seen last year as well, and the year before that as well, it's now or never really. Once the expansion hits, this Plex market does become a lot more stable. I think that is because a lot more players come back to the game and also buy Plex, put them on the markets, want that ISK or want that game time, so they'll buy more quickly, sell more quickly, and then it's a lot a lot more difficult to really bring these spikes to the market, because there's just too many people that are going to put lower sell orders, and at the moment it's still just people are starting to come back after the summer, and so this was still a possibility, and it happened twice again, just not as high as I had expected. I personally, I'm starting to doubt it's going to go as high as 620 anymore. It might, but I really don't think so. So yeah, I'll be looking to sell in the next 1 or 2 weeks, I think, and even if that means lowering my price to 590 or something like that. But very interesting market, of course. The seasonal spikes have happened, so that definitely came true. Overall, if you look at the 20-day moving average chart, it's now close to 580, pretty much exactly where it was last year. So this is one indication, this doesn't mean that the correlation is not a one-on-one, but I would say that activity in EVE Online is pretty much at the same point as what it was last year before the winter expansion. So interestingly enough, I do think this means that the summer expansion has not brought a lot of new players to the game, so it hasn't really helped to grow the game itself, but it's managed to pretty much maintain its activity, and thus the price of Plex is pretty much where it was last year. So let's hope that Rubicon can actually bring more new players and keep new players to EVE Online, so that we might just see some higher prices after the winter expansion, and then as always it'll taper off, and then we'll have another buy opportunity, I think. Yeah, this is, I would say, looking like a flat chart on a 1-year basis. I think the spikes are over for the Plex, so if you want to sell, try and do so in the next few weeks, I think. Any good opportunity is going to be in the next few days, and after that I'm really looking forward to Rubicon myself. At first we're definitely going to do some exploration in those new cruisers, but I'm also going to be very interested in seeing how the high-sec Poco stuff develops, and the interceptor change. I think that's going to give some very interesting battle reports from nullsec, where the bigger wars happen, and then we'll see for the winter what I decide to do. Before that, right after the expansion, it's just gonna be some more exploration, maybe some wormhole dives with a few people, and then for the winter we'll see what my plans are then. But in my opinion, it's all looking quite good. But I also have to be honest here. Judging from the Plex market, I do say that this has been pretty much a zero effect summer expansion. So pretty much people maybe gave it a try, but went away again for the summer pretty quickly. And now it's picking back up because people will be coming back for the winter expansion. But I don't think that Odyssey will be known as a super expansion or an expansion that has really grown the game, but merely maintained it. At least that's what I get from the Plex market and from my personal feeling of the game. I don't really feel that it's substantially grown or anything like that. But yeah, I think that's why the Plex is so interesting. It's also your best protection against inflation, because 30-day game time will always be 30 game day time. And that is why I do like to invest in that. And in fact, next year, I think I'll go pretty much all in Plex if I see a buying opportunity. But anyways, that's it for this EVE talk. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.